Welcome to Brandeis. Now that you're starting here at Brandeis, we're excited to talk to you about ways to get off campus by studying abroad. There's lots of things to go ahead and get started thinking about. And so we're just going to go through 5 considerations during your first year to start thinking about study abroad opportunities. We want study abroad to be for everyone that wants the opportunity to be able to learn and study in a different place and culture. So the first thing to kind of think about is when you might want to study abroad. Students can go abroad during the semester in either the fall or spring of their junior year or fall of senior year, or you can go abroad any summer. So even after your first summer, you could go abroad. So that's something you could go ahead and start thinking about now. For the summer, you just have to be in good conduct standing. There's no other kind of eligibility requirements with Brandeis. Programs might have their own. But summer can be a great way to, start that abroad experience and gain an international perspective. Our summer deadline can change, but it's approximately around March 1st, of the March before you would go abroad in the summer. Some summer opportunities you could consider would be a Brandeis Run Study Abroad program. These are all programs that are designed for cohorts of Brandeis students, many times led by Brandeis faculty members, and are Brandeis courses and credit that you're taking. So it could be a great way to meet others that are interested in the topics that you're studying. They're typically designed around certain themes or majors, but anyone can go on many of these programs if they're interested and have the prereqs. So the first one is Brandeis in Copenhagen, Business and Economics in Denmark. Then there's Brandeis in Merida, Public Health in the Yucatan Peninsula, which also includes an excursion to Cuba. Brandeis in Siena, which is a fine arts program in Tuscany, where you're studying both painting and art history. And then our newest program, Brandeis in Puerto Rico, Environmental Studies in the Caribbean. That's going to run for the first time in summer 2024 and will be every other year. So the next year offered will be summer 2026. There's also other summer programs outside of these, but these are Brandeis programs that are Brandeis courses that you take. Okay, the next thing you might be thinking about is where can I study abroad? At Brandeis, we have over 200 approved programs in more than 50 countries. Everywhere you see OLLI here on the map, there is an approved program. So there are lots of options, no matter what you're studying, what you're interested in. We note here all majors and minors can study abroad. It is absolutely possible. We've had every major study abroad before. Sometimes it takes a little more planning than others, which I'll talk about later. But there's a range of opportunities for you. If you see here, there's a link to our approved programs database. You can go in there and search for different programs. You can say, I'm a biology major interested in studying in Latin America, and it will pull up programs specific to that. Or you can just look through everything. And then 3, just really quickly on why someone might choose to study abroad. So there's lots of reasons why you might want to go, but just some key ones to pull out here is gaining a new perspective on your major or minor. It is study abroad, so any program that we're working with in our office is tied to academic credit. Increasing your knowledge of other cultures, which is so important in our globalized world. Enhancing language learning or learning a new language. So you could, fulfill a language requirement through going abroad, start something new, advance in it, become more proficient. Just develop a lot of those independence, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. Live in a new place. And then also we point out here that it's around 10% of students overall in the US that study abroad. It's higher than that at Brandeis, but it really does set you apart from others and is really attractive to graduate schools and employers because it shows that you can live independently, you can be adaptable, you've worked with people from other cultures, and all of that is so important in both an academic sphere and a personal and career field. Okay, one important thing to think about in your first year is planning ahead for language requirements. So as you know, Brandeis has a language requirement, the world language requirement that is 3 semesters or the equivalent of a language. For study abroad, Brandeis does have some requirements. We like to remember it by FISH. So French, Italian, Spanish, Hebrew, anywhere that is one of those language primarily spoken in that country, we would require 2 semesters of study prior to studying abroad or the equivalent. So if you've come into Brandeis and you've taken French already and you place into French 30, that meets the Brandeis requirement. One thing to know is that some programs will have higher requirements. So let's say you want to go to a program where all the courses are in Spanish. 2 semesters typically isn't enough to be able to do that. Those programs are going to ask for more like 4 to 6 semesters of that requirement. The more language study you have prior to studying abroad, whether you want to study abroad in that language or in English, is always recommended just to help you have the most immersive and beneficial experience. So register for those language classes now. And then it's never too early to start planning. So we're always happy to chat with anyone about their thoughts about study abroad, what might be possible or not. It's completely fine to start planning at this point for junior year. Most students will really start the planning process during their sophomore year if they want to go abroad as a junior. But as we talked about before, summer is also a possibility. Students that we would really encourage to start planning earlier would be STEM students and pre-health students. It's absolutely possible to be able to study abroad, but it does sometimes take a little more planning. So starting that process earlier is recommended. And then just to know you can still fulfill major minor requirements while you're abroad. So that's also something that we can talk about at any point when you're planning out your academic schedule for the 4 years. One great way to get started in the process and just see what's out there is to come to our study abroad fair. It's held every September. It's a great way to see what kind of programs there are, what they offer, how you can incorporate what you might want to study into it. And it's our biggest event of the year, so definitely look for information about that. If you were wanting to go abroad during your junior year, that deadline is going to be early spring semester, most likely your sophomore year. So you can go ahead and start planning, but you really wouldn't be applying until sophomore year. And that's all the tips we have for your first year. As I mentioned, please come to our events like the Study Abroad Fair or stop into our office. We're in USAN 169. We're excited to see you on campus, and we're more excited to get you abroad during your time at Brandeis.